in him qualities of vision, building, organizing, motivating, and leading teams to perform at the peak level. He is well regarded as a thoughtful leader and speaker on the formulation and implementation of corporate strategies, knowledge, and innovation. Our next guest for today is Mrs. Liliana Suryano, who is a graduate in law from Lomas de Zamora Law University from Argentina. She worked as a professor of legal sciences at the Salvador University, Argentina, specialized in holistic law and alternative tools for professionals in conflict resolution. Liliana has a master's in Reiki and coach in mindfulness belonging to the American Association of Reiki Masters. She is the author of multiple online articles and legal journals, such as How We Train the Mediator Lawyers of the Year and Now, Online Lawyers Inheritance of the Pandemic, among others. She gives talks, workshops, seminar, and holistic law courses internationally. Next, we have Mr. Anshav Jain, who is a true entrepreneur and a corporate professional with 21 plus years of expertise in business strategy, business development and marketing, business process re-engineering, and digital transformation. He's also an angel investor and startup mentor, business consultant, and a serial entrepreneur. Anshav Jain is now running his own global organization as the founder and MD of Bringle UK and India. He has lost his high-paying corporate job after growing 16 times in just 11 years and has tried 21 plus ideas in 21 plus years, lost 7 plus businesses in 7 plus years, with a debt of $500,000 before transforming a loss-making business into a self-sustainable $100 million plus global startup. Next, we have, just a minute. Yeah, we have Miss Advocate Neha Gupta, who is an advocate at the Bar Council of Delhi and also a member of Institute of Company Secretaries of India, ICSL. During her more than 13 years of professional expertise, she has worked in big consulting firms in India and currently is acting as a proprietor of NRG and Associates, Advocates and Legal Consultants. Initially, she has been involved in vast range of professional assignments, including secretarial services, FEMA matters, and company law matters with deep interest in IPR issues. Her expertise lies in all aspects of intellectual property law, especially in trademarks, copyrights, and design. She extensively and independently handles matters related to the filing, creation, prosecution, litigation, registration, protection, and enforcement of above intellectual property rights. Last but not the least, I would like to invite Advocate Riddhi Bhanushali, my co-host, to take it. Thank you.
Greetings everyone, I'm Advocate Riddhi Bhanushali, the Chief Strategic Alliance Advisor of SK Associates Group and Shravan's co-host for the day. I would like to request all the guests and attendees to kindly switch on your respective webcams during the conference. I would also like to inform that Ms. Vaishali Shri and team are conducting polls in the chat box throughout the session. You actively participate in the same by giving your opinions in the polls. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Kamlesh Mishra, former Vice Chancellor of Rishihood University, to commence his speech.
Thank you, Riddhi. Am I audible?
Yeah, sir, you're audible.
Yeah. Am I visible on the camera? Because I can't see myself.
No, sir, you're not visible.
You're not visible. The screen is a bit darkened. If you could just
No.
No, it's not because of the darkness. I think it's just something is not working on the camera because I've switched on the camera.
It's okay. No proceed with us. That's good.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, Shravan, for having me today. I think the topic that we have today is the emerging role of social entrepreneurship in the era of pandemic. So I'm going to briefly give some thoughts for all of us to think about on this very, very important issue that we are going to be discussing today. I was part of the discussion yesterday, and I got some interesting inputs from other people also. So in view of that, I think the way that I like to define the purpose and the objective of social entrepreneurship, even though some amount of coverage was done yesterday, I feel that the most important And all objectives that people have talked about yesterday can be actually put into two broad brackets. The objective of social entrepreneurship is to have a process through which we can eradicate poverty and reduce the socio-economic disparities that exist in our society. Now, within the framework of this broad objective, we have so many other things that we can talk about in terms of employment, in terms of whatever you want to say, but everything falls within these two broad categories: reducing poverty and eradication of disparities that exist in our society. There is a saying that God has created everybody equal. I hope and I wish that this was true, because then we would never have any problems. Much of the problems of society are because we are not equal. And that creates the biggest challenge for human beings. Even the pandemic did not affect everybody equally. People were affected in different ways. Those who were the poor, the vulnerable, those who had lesser had to go through a greater impact of the pandemic than those people who were better off. And I think whether the pandemic or without the pandemic, social entrepreneurship is always going to play a very important role. But during the pandemic, it became more visible for the need to have social enterprises. It takes a crisis for us to realize that there is something wrong in the society, there is something wrong in the world that we need to think about. And I think that's what the pandemic did. It's not that we didn't have problems before. It's only that those problems got highlighted because of the pandemic, because of the crisis that was created. Many times we as human beings open our eyes and ears only when we are in a position of crisis. During normal times, we tend to ignore a lot of things. So let's look at what creates these problems, because that itself will define the emerging role that social entrepreneurship should play. Let's look at the structure of the world itself. The world is divided into haves and have-nots. It is divided into the rich and the poor. It is divided between people who have command over resources and wealth, and those that do not have any command over resources and wealth. The command over resources and wealth creates power. And it is power that decides what happens in this world. But I think it's important for us as a society to try to understand that having poor people, having vulnerable groups of people, having people who are disadvantaged is not good for us. Because the larger this group becomes, the more social tensions that will exist in society. It is therefore in the interest of those people who are better off in society to ensure that those who are not better off or do not have the resources at their command to become better off are taken care of. It should be the responsibility of every person in the society to ensure that poor people are taken care of. They will revolt one day. And you can see this situation in many countries that is already there, where there is too much of concentration of wealth and very little social enterprises being there. We find a lot of social problems that are emerging, and those are leading to social tensions and conflicts, and violent revolutions are taking place because of this. I think as a society, we need to think whether we want these violent revolutions to happen. And if we feel that we want to have a very just, a value-based, fair society where everybody has a place, we can't make everybody rich. But I think it's important that as a society, we ensure that everybody has enough to eat, live, and be having a decent living. Poverty can be the biggest cause of revolutions worldwide. Look at many countries in Africa, Asia, who are poor. We are having these kind of problems. I think what has happened is that because of the pandemic, these things have become more visible today. Because the pandemic also has led to more concentration of wealth than what was there before. Now, how do we actually overcome this problem? This is not we don't have any solutions to these problems which can be implemented overnight. These are long-term problems. They have been brewing in our society for a very, very long time. And they will take long-term sustainable solutions that need to be found out. And that's where I think the role of social entrepreneurship becomes very, very important. Now, in terms of social entrepreneurship, I heard yesterday also, and I'm sure that a lot of us also believe that a social entrepreneurship is an institutionalized organization which does not have the motive of any profits. It is to serve society. I'm not always in agreement with this statement that a social entrepreneur or social entrepreneur organization should not make profits. I think some of our problems emerge from that thought process itself. How can you help society when you cannot help yourself? How can you give when you don't have? If you are going to be dependent on getting from others to give to somebody else, the chances are very, very high that you may not survive for too long. I think what we need to think is that a social enterprise can make profits. What is important for us to understand is that what happens to that profit. That's the critical issue that we need to think about. A corporation which is led by shareholders, its objective is clearly defined, is to make profits. It's a profit motive that drives businesses. And that profit is also distributed in form of dividends to its shareholders or its owners. I think in a social entrepreneurship, we need to ensure that the profits that are generated are employed towards the meeting the objectives for which that social enterprise was established. They should not be allowed to distribute the profits as it is done in a normal corporation. So my personal view has always been that it's not about being aggressive about generating profits. It's about creating a model that will create surplus within the organization, which can be used to serve a larger population than what we can do without that. So I don't think that saying that generating surplus or profits is a wrong thing to do, as long as we are very, very clear. the biggest challenge that we have today is that a lot of social organizations and NGOs, actually, if you look at many of them, 80% of their revenue goes into administration. So what is left is about 15 to 20%. I think the administrative cost of social enterprises are very, very high. They are abnormally skewed. It should not be more than 20-25% max. Whereas we have hit about 70 to 85% in many of these. So those social enterprises that function with a sense of economic prudence. I can give you an example of, let's take sort of an NGO like Sulabh International. Its objectives are very, very clear, and I think they have done an amazing job in society. And probably they're one of the very well-funded organizations. Almost every international organization funds them, but they follow a very, very ethical formats of economic prudence in running the organization. And that's one of the reasons that today it is one of the largest organizations that works in the field of sanitation in India. So it is possible, but for us to say that, Sulabh International does not generate profits or surplus is wrong. They also have certain payments that people make to use the public toilets that they have set up. That's just to meet the expenditures. So they also have a revenue model. So all social enterprises need to have a revenue model. Many times we have this thought that a social enterprise somebody has to give money to us to survive. And I think we need to get out of that mindset. Social enterprises have to function like any other corporations in the way that they, except their motives are a little different. Also, another problem which really questions their role is their alignments with the political systems. Many times, many social organizations get too aligned to political systems. Now, there could be several reasons for this. One of the reasons could be that aligning with the political system also opens the doors to receiving funding from any government, which is needed.
Excuse me, Dr. Mishra. Actually, we are running a bit short of time. If you could just wrap it up.
So I think the important part is that whenever we think of what role should social entrepreneurship have, I think we need to think of the society in large first. What is its structure? What is its character? What defines the society? What kind of people? What is the hierarchy within the society? And that will, to a large extent, define the role that social entrepreneurship is going to have. Thank you so much.
That was really an amazing speech, Dr. Mishra. I just had one question. In the first paragraph of your speech, you just mentioned a line that the most affluent and educated sections of the society, which are well off to do, should definitely sponsor social enterprises to see that the lower section of society don't have any ill thoughts towards the evil thoughts or something. So that is actually important thing here. So what is your perspective on it? In a full sense, should the richer and affluent section of society exactly fund these organizations by themselves or via their organizations as a company?
See, I feel that there are different ways of looking at it. One is that it is important that society must be a more balanced society. And in order for society to be balanced, there has to be transfer of some amount of wealth from those who have it to those who do not have it. Some of it is done by the government through a mechanism of tax systems where they tax people who have money and give it to people who don't have money. But I think at individual level also, even if you cannot give a donation to an NGO or a social enterprise, there is something that you can do which contributes to betterment of society. Can you take care of people who are around you, with you, within your community? Can you take care of the education of your driver's children or your maid's children, or people who are affecting your life directly? I think that will, we may feel that, if I'm going to do all by myself, one person, how much difference does it make? Well, you ask that person whose life is being changed. That person will tell you how much difference you might have made. So I think that's another way of all of us contributing to that aspect of society.
That's actually an amazing answer, Dr. Mishra. Now, I would like to thank Dr. Mishra for his amazing speech, and I would like to request the audience, you can put forward any of the queries if you have. Akansha Besuya, Anjal Tiwari, Anshul, any queries?
So I have a question to Mr. Mishra.
Yeah.
I think, sir, you mentioned about social entrepreneurship as social service. I think you are considering that. So I think, in my opinion, social entrepreneurship and social service, and in fact, social impact, these are different aspects of it. And I think there is a misconception here in the minds of everybody that as soon as the social word comes in, it means a social service or it means donation or something like that. So what do you have to say about that? Why that mindset is being there very prevalent today?
Well, I don't think that I was trying to imply that. To me, social service can be at individual level. You don't need to have an NGO to do social service. Social service is a responsibility of every citizen in a society to do something for the betterment of society. At the end of the day, we are getting something from society, and we need to give back. So that's the concept of social service to me. Social enterprise is more of an organized system of identifying social problems and trying to find solutions to those problems. It has a larger scope that we have. For example, why can't we have community enterprises? Can we just take care of our own community? That's all. Where we live, to make things better in that place. So I think there is a difference between these two things, and I feel that social service is to a large extent, it draws upon the individual efforts of people.
Yeah, Dr. Mishra just mentioned very clearly. But Mr. Jain, as my perception goes, even the word social, means in general, the term means that is for the society. So maybe that conception could be there in people's minds. After all, everyone is not that intellectual or has got that much of time to just go through a dictionary every time. Anyway, I would like to thank Dr. Mishra for his amazing and beautiful speech. Actually, it cleared a bit of the concept in everyone's minds here. From yesterday on the panel, we are just looking for a overall definition of it. We just gave it down here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now I would like to request my co-host to call the next speaker. Thank you.
Moving ahead, I would like to invite Ms. Liliana Suryano, a professor of legal sciences at Salvador University, Argentina, to commence her speech.
Riddhi, you're not audible clearly.
Now, am I audible?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, fine. Okay. Moving ahead, I would like to invite Ms. Liliana Suryano, a professor of legal sciences at Salvador University, Argentina, to commence her speech.
As a lawyer and teacher specialized in holistic and multidisciplinary law, I train other professionals and include myself in the category of social entrepreneur, being to provide solutions to the problem of stress caused by daily work, looking for clients, helping them, perfecting ourselves to work in the better way by disconnecting from our interior and developing different mechanisms to solve our clients' problems. The pandemic is of tsunami, the emotion. In its beginning in March 2020, we didn't think our space in our home, and some of us had to live this time alone, like me. This increased the uncertainty, the panic of not back to work. In that situation, I use my tool like meditation. I remember me giving meditation session twice a week for an hour on social media for college, client, friend, and family. Different countries around the world. I am here in India with you today, and I am happy because I found the opportunity to pass on my knowledge despite the crisis that we are still going through. We ask ourselves, what is holistic love? In recent decades, different mechanisms have emerged with different evolution that develop new skill of exercising law with complementary methods. At this team, we can speak of holistic law as a pacific, integrating and healing mechanism for the different parts, the integrate the conflict. The culture of litigation changes for the culture of service. Litigation affects professional causing stress in the exercise of their daily tasks. This stress produces different pathologies that affect the mind, body, and spirit, whereas holistic law come to rescue them with this new approach incorporating positive, corporative, comprehensive, more human and healing aspect that differentiates learners in a law university. This incorporated knowledge in adds the training and practices and multidisciplinary areas such as care, energy, etc. Holistic evaluates people in their context, customs, values with a broader focus on conflict resolution. It promotes many and inclusive legal principles, values responsibility, connection and inclusion, compassion, reconciliation, and personal healing. How do we integrate these new principles and this new paradigm into the practice of our profession? How do we remove the litigation culture? How do we bring this new point of view to the university? The answer is very simple. We must use practice begin more human, good human professional. I'll start with us, on person, thus and the other imitate. Let's give our example. This is a domino effect. Change the paradigm. Holistic thinking. Holistic thinking is a Hegel values mental skill. It is the way of seeing the world from a holistic perspective. We can name it is a creative legal thinking a whole. paying more attention to the relationship of the object and its environment, analysis, the connection to understand it casually. It seeks to train the professional to think, to reason, to feel, to act. It is to unify the way of thinking, reasoning, feel, and acting. The perception of a whole in the analysis. This way of thinking in not in many people. It is what we have since childhood, but unfortunately, when lost as we grew up, we block it each of us as the predominance of a certain part of our brain. The word of the professional is turning of this type of reasoning, having a more analytic reasoning, but all the function of the brain can always be activated from the point of view of neuroscience, which tell us that only the pathological brain can be rectified. In my experience, their work performance was successful as in holistic thinking, since many trials concluded favorably by accessing not direct, not visible information with this type of thinking. At this time, some areas of medicine, such as neuroscience, are incorporating this type of neuronal interaction, exercising and increasing brain connection by activation using mindfulness. How do you get holistic thinking? Holistic thinking is equals inherited culture plus learner culture plus emotional feeling. The characteristic that the professional obtain after internships, talk, seminary, workshops, and conference of holistic law. Empathy. Learn to look through the age of the other. Cyber the age of the other. Put yourself in the other's position. This required a great effort. Many people are emphatic with an innate attitude, but the rest of us must develop it. Service. We were training in the culture of litigation, and we have to change to the culture of service. We must think that we are the professional provider in his service. He should focus on the service and empathy. Listen carefully. Listening attentively is paying attention and concentration. It requires a willingness to listen, pay attention, and understand. Never give an opinion before listening completely and without interrupting. The language. Language is the basic of communication, and emphatic communication must be clear and direct, including the necessary technical use of the normative aspect. We must think about the real public and extend the objective of the message, thinking about the otherness. A. If the other person is a professional, we will provide the articles of the codex supporting with the fundamentals. But when they communicate with a child or with someone who is not professional, we must know how to speak so that I understand us from that skill. We generate the dialogue with empathic language. Our ask ourselves, what does that the other person need to know? How is the best way? From there, we can design a more appropriate language. This is the mission that we have as professionals. This modification must be generated from the higher ranking jobs in the state and the must be supported by the mentioned skill. If you don't have this skill, you must develop and transmit them to the whole society. This is one as be changed with only a law. We must modify our behavior as professionals, incorporating more abilities and skills. Empathy, service, attentive listening, appropriate language. The state of professional with social skills provided important values for him and for the entire community, achieving well-being and ensuring his connection with his interior, ceasing to be emotionally ignorant. This is the professional here and now. Thank you.
That was a beautiful speech, Liliana. I would like to thank you for it. I have a question. Here in India, parents do have the concept, the old ancient concept that kids should get educated, they must study, get an MBA most probably. That's the 90% ideology, and then go for a job rather than trying out something different like social entrepreneurship, via which they might serve the society. So, what would be your opinion on that? How do you see that as a citizen of Argentina? Camila, please.
Yes, hi, I'm Camila. I will try to translate that Liliana will say. First, I will try to translate the question. Sorry. Te está preguntando el hecho de que en India hay mucho bullying con respecto y mucha diferencia con respecto a lo que es un emprendedor que solamente recibió educación universitaria y aquel que recibió másters y se especializó más en el tema, con lo cual lo que están buscando a través de este tipo de talleres y emprendimientos sociales es justamente luchar contra eso. ¿Cuál es tu opinión acerca de eso con respecto al nivel de educación? Anda diciéndome de oraciones y voy tras lo
en mi experiencia, tomando el contexto de India y del bullying con respecto a la capacitación.
Aguárdame. In my experience, in the Indian's context and the education level, the different education levels, continue.
Es donde más debemos focalizar en la parte humana del profesional y prepararnos con competencias y habilidades y valores.
The most important issue is the human thing, especially the different skills, the social skills, and the value. Continue.
Bueno, tratando de darle importancia y que ellos conozcan sus propios valores y sus mandatos, tanto heredados como los valores que van formando al día a día de su profesión.
Yes, it's important that the professionals knows your own value, and it's important the personal value.
Very.
That's the point. So, Liliana, overall through your speech, can mediators also try social entrepreneurship? Because mediation is also serving the society by mediating and solving conflicts between different individuals. Can mediation also be a good form of social entrepreneurship?
Justamente en la mediación tiene que ver con este.
Where exactly the model which we are currently working upon as well. So more qualified people than jobs in India today, that is one of the biggest problem. Indian youth from tier 1 colleges are also underemployed. Forget about tier 2, tier 3, or tier 4 cities. And this is coming in from a Delhi Technical University student out there. Lack of open source and knowledge available, lack of specific knowledge with respect to experience. The students who are going for internships, they're not getting right internships. There are most of them are also interested only at a stipend or maybe getting that certificate. But what is the real value which is being provided? Organizations are also not able to spend that quality time with them because they know that after 1 or 2 months they will leave the organization and probably join somewhere else. So it's becoming a big bit of a problem for everybody out there. Now, this is just a problem. I'm sharing it with you. I'm not getting into solution immediately onto it, but I will talk about it. Now, why is our youth facing such issues? There are three main reasons why 95% of our youth are not able to explore their true potential and struggling for jobs. One, they're unaware and unclear about the skill sets, their own skill sets, and even the industry. How the industry is changing, what is happening in the industry, and there is a big question mark or unclear issues which are coming in. They're not employable. When I say they're not employable for the future digital skill sets which are required in the industry, because the education system is still not attuned to that to train them as per those aspects. uh, Red versus blue ocean. Everybody is running toward job, that I should get an employment and things like that. Nobody is thinking, can I stop? Can I create some more jobs for the country and give everybody on them? Become an entrepreneur, create more opportunities for the people, be an icon for so many people like Ritesh Agarwal from Oyo. You have Bhavesh Agarwal from Ola. There are so many entrepreneurs like that, including your Mark Zuckerberg or Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. These are all young entrepreneurs. They have left their degrees and worked on that model, and we have so many examples. So we should work on that. Now, considering all that situation, we are currently now working with our Mission Zero Unemployment. The idea here is to transforming India into a self-sustainable and financially independent economy, leading to zero unemployment. And the book which we are launching for this and a live charity event in August is called Sone Ki Chidiya Ko Jagao. India was called as a golden bird, a Sone Ki Chidiya. But what has happened over a period of time? We were actually the number one economy for the first 10 centuries after AD out there. But what has happened to us? The invaders came in, everybody started stripping off and literally stripped off our glory out of from us. We were divided into two countries, and in fact, there are a lot of rifts which has been created because of that. Which we call it as freedom, so called, but we were separated out. We were partitioned. We were divided. The whole idea here is how we could awaken that golden bird again, and can happen only if we work towards with our youth and children of our country, the 54% of the population who are the future of our country. If we don't upskill them or reskill them now, help them to know themselves much better at this point in time, this in India may have another challenge coming in. I don't know how many of you are aware, but China has already destroyed the Pakistan economy. They've destroyed Sri Lankan economy. Now they're actually injecting lot of or giving lot of money to Nepal and Bangladesh as well. They're already circling us around, and it's becoming a big problem for the country. If we don't become strong at this point in time, that we can get into a major social crisis over a period of time. Some of the demographic advantages I mentioned: 54% of the young population, which is less than 30 years old, less than 50% of our young generation gets some sort of formal education in our country, and that's again a bigger problem in the industry. Uh, Now, one more fact which I just wanted to share with you before I move forward. Currently, 34 million educated youth are unemployed, and another 17 million actually don't want to do the jobs. So where is the problem? Is the youth a problem? Is industry is a problem, or the education is the problem? And I'm talking about educated youth. These are not uneducated ones. Uneducated ones actually have lesser unemployment rate than the educated ones. So is education ruining us or helping us to grow? It's a big question which we need to ask. Now, what are those 7 futuristic jobs?
I think so.
Can we take the questions? Can we take the questions at the end of it? I'll just finish it off in 5 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So there are 7 futuristic job skill set, digital skill set, which everybody should be focusing upon for the next decade or maybe further. The first one is design thinking. You can design something so much of great quality even when it does not exist, even if it is an idea stage. And you can do that designing, create a 5-year, 10-year, 50-year plan on that and create a visionary thinking. That is called design thinking. You can work once you have a design, you have to create the right set of processes, make lean structures, we call that a lean startup, and having a right project management structure to make sure that you have the best of the efficiency and effectiveness into your system. You bring in the artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics into the ecosystem, and there you can add a lot of value. And all of the youth and children have to design, or they can be fit into these 7 skill sets which I mentioned about. Cloud computing, cybersecurity, blockchain, these are very important skill sets, and there are so many jobs available out there. UI, UX, AR, VR, metaverse, these are the new economies which are being created. Metaverse, which is Facebook itself, is going to invest $280 billion in metaverse development. There are companies like Microsoft, Nvidia, they are also working on that metaverse development. Bringle, we are creating a Bringleverse, the world's first metaverse, largest university in the world. And there will be a lot of creators would be required out there. A lot of artificial intelligence experts would be required out there. And growth marketing. You have a product, you've got a great product, but who will sell it? Who will market it? You need storytellers, you need growth marketers, you need growth hackers to grow that business from a basic single business idea to a multi-billion-dollar companies. And finally, the data analytics. So as soon as you move ahead, you will generate lots of data. Technology, through marketing, through sales, and somebody has to analyze that and give a feedback to the team, various teams accordingly, so that you can grow forward. And that is why you will find quantum processors or quantum data analytics, which is coming up into that. In fact, at this point in time, data analytics is one of the fields which has the maximum jobs across the globe. And then followed by AI, ML, cybersecurity, blockchain, growth marketing. Every organization requires growth marketing. So if you have a bent of it, you can actually do that. Unfortunately or fortunately, 50% of them are not even developed fully yet. Whatever the names you are finding it out, probably they're only 50%. But if you are there into that industry, you will find new technologies, new ways of growth accordingly into that. But you have to prepare yourself well in the next 3 to 5 years' time. Now, why I'm doing this is my story, a little bit about myself. So I myself wanted to become an astronaut, and it's a very funny story, which is probably I've seen myself all 3 types of crises in my life: starting crisis, midlife crisis, and restart crisis. And I actually wanted to be an astronaut, wasted 2 years of my academic years in preparing for medical, and eventually joined engineering, which is, of course, one of the top 5 engineering institute, Delhi College of Engineering. I got into the job. My first job was not into engineering, it was into corporate sales. I loved that job. But I thought, let me just try engineering, because I spent my 4 years over there and I was getting admission into, through an all India test into Reliance Industries, which was my dream company. And I joined that. As soon as I landed into the world's largest grassroots refinery in Jamnagar, I realized I've done the biggest mistake of my life. This place does not belong to me. It is not what I belong to. This is totally a different, for a different personality. I took 2 years to come back to marketing and then eventually into operational excellence, and then grew 16 times in just 11 years' time. I was the youngest vice president at the age of 34 years, earning the highest amount of salary in a global MNC before losing my high corporate paying job. So everybody faces challenge. And then I realized I started my entrepreneurship journey. And then I actually lost 7+ businesses in 7+ years. And then when I connect the dots back, I realized that I've been actually trying 21+ ideas in last 21+ years. And by that time that realization came in, I actually had a debt of more than $500,000. It took me a couple of years to transform the business of my loss-making business, Bringle, into a $100 million global startup today, and becoming debt-free in just last year, which is in 2021. And that's my journey, which I see in different stages. And I thought, why not I work with the youth and the children of our country and the entrepreneurs and support them on that. And that's where we started the whole vision statement of Mission Zero Unemployment, where we work with encourage, empower, and guide the 260 million plus youth and 500 million plus children towards employability and develop entrepreneurial mindset and increase their learning effectiveness to transformation and generate value through organized holistic skills development programs. And that's why we started focusing on skilling. Uh, with this, what we are doing currently is we are measuring the employability index of each and every youth of the country. We are actually running a competition right now to find out the most employable youth in our country across the colleges. We are skilling, upskilling and reskilling the student going out in every universities. We have signed up agreements with many universities like Oriental University, Indore. We are working with Delhi University, Chandigarh University, Mumbai University, Parul University, Jawaharlal Nehru Technical University, and many more, which we are signing it up. And there we are working with them and helping them to do their skills profiling, helping them to connect, identify their core skill sets, and then grooming them and preparing them for the futuristic digital skill sets. Also working with their placement cells and incubation cells to develop the entrepreneurial mindset.
Yeah, excuse me,
Three-stage process.
if you could just wrap it up some time because we have
Shravan, I'll just take 2 more minutes. And I'll not take too much more. Thank you so much. So we will talk about more on gamification and other aspects later. It's just a slide which we are looking at. We have 50,000 plus experts spread across 70 plus countries today. And we have a global reach of 200 million plus in 140 plus countries. We are developing the world's largest metaverse university at this point in time. And this is done through a 3-stage process of skills profiling, holistic skills development, and 100% job assistance. This is our 5-stage certification designer unicorn methodology for entrepreneurship development, which we are running it in colleges and schools. And for each of you, just remember, everything starts from you. So if you want to know about yourself, you can just go on our website, brindleacademy.com, click on Know Yourself out there, and you'll get a free program out there just to figure out what you want to do in your life. It's a complete career bingo program which has been created, which is designed by Harvard Business Review. So I've explained everything around that, and you'll be able to figure out where you should be going for that. It's a very well program. Now, before I move forward, I just want to give you this quick exercise and probably just quickly check it out. It is about your own skill set. It's a simple version of Know Yourself. So you have a knowledge of something and you have a reality on that, whether it is available on that. And considering that, if you know what you know, then you say, I know what I know. And maybe you can type it into the chat window. If you say, I know what I don't know, and I don't know what I don't know, and I don't know what I know, whichever segment you are in, please type in 1, 2, 3, 4 in the chat window for yourself. You will get a simple version of this in the Know Yourself program as well. You can just get it out there with more programs out there. These are the same program I was talking about, Unleash Your Own Powers workshop. I'll just flip through into this and take it forward a little bit on what the work we have done recently. This is about the book Sone Ki Chidiya Ko Jagao, which has been promoted in Dubai and various other countries right now. And now that is what the Mission Zero Unemployment is all about. I just need any questions with you, and are you there with me on this Mission Zero Unemployment?
Sir,
So
actually,
I take up all my time.
can I take a minute?
Mr. Jain, just it's like we are running a bit out of time. We just share your email ID in the chat box so that all attendees could mail your queries. We have 2 speakers left from the panel. It's really a the type situation. Yeah.
I'll surely send an email to.
Mr. Sharma could reach you out.
Yeah, guys, anybody who wants to reach out to me, I'm available on LinkedIn at Anshav Jain is my ID. You can easily reach out to me there. You won't find too many Anshav Jain out there.
Just share your in the chat box so that it's comfortable for them. It's convenient.
Shravan, one question from my side. Only one question, just one.
I would like to thank Mr. Anshav Jain for his amazing speech. Actually, your vision is really fabulous. I support you in your entire enthusiasm. This was actually amazing. This outfit. It's the real definition of social entrepreneurship. Now, I would like to invite Advocate Neha Gupta from the Bar Council of Delhi to commence this speech.
Thank you. Am I audible? Thank you. Thank you, SK Associate and Group, for arranging this wonderful event and providing me the opportunity being a part of this event. And really, it's a great experience to listen and learn from today's as well as yesterday's speakers. So, according to me, social entrepreneur is one who is somebody's reason to smile. They solve a problem and bring about a positive change in someone's life. Before I start, I wish to add my yesterday's experience. First, when I was listening the session, my 7 years old daughter was alongside me and asked, "Mama, what is social entrepreneur?" I was wondering how to give her a good answer with example, so she can understand properly. Actually, she teaches my house helper every day. She used to teach her basic English, Hindi, and maths. When I told my daughter, Adya, you are a social entrepreneur, she asked me, how, Mama? I told her, because you are doing something good and positive for that girl, for her education, that can be life changing for her. After listening this, my daughter was so happy and she wished to teach other family members too. And I am so happy to see her as a budding social entrepreneur at my home because of yesterday's session. Thank you, yesterday's speakers. I'm very overwhelmed. Now I come to the topic. Social entrepreneur is when an individual or a group of people take up the responsibility to solve the prevailing problem of the society. They are the sustainable organization that aim to address existing problems using innovative and executable ideas. Anyone and everyone can come up with the solution to a problem, can become a social entrepreneur, be the organization or the individuals. Strong willpower, the intention to do good, a suitable approach are the driving forces. Yes, social entrepreneur work for dual mission. First, it is social return on investment, and second, financial return on investment. COVID-19 was not a choice, it was a compulsion. On the other hand, being social entrepreneur is always by a choice, it's never be a compulsion. COVID-19 is one of the most serious crises of all the time. The situation on the ground is depressing. COVID-19 has resulted increased level of activities by social entrepreneurs to fight against challenges emerged out of the global pandemic. The post-pandemic world is daily struggling with the new threats around the globe. Social entrepreneurs have been working to resolve these problems for creating sustainable economies. Corporation, investors, government, researchers, media, and the industry actors work together in support of a social innovation movement that transforms society to be more just, sustainable, and equitable. The efficiency with which social entrepreneurs have worked, responded to the COVID-19 pandemic is incredible. Their on the ground presence for the problem like unemployment, isolation, contract restriction, economic shutdown, illness, domestic violence, child maltreatment, learning loss of students, inflation, inadequate supplies, inadequate information, financial loss, stigma, and infection fear are incredible. Social entrepreneurs have the ability to act as a first responder in support of helpless communities. A strong recovery is needed after crushing 2021. We know social entrepreneurs have been working for the betterment of society. If we have to move forward towards sustained and real economic growth, young people should come front and take initiative. The world needs social entrepreneur right now, hyper practical, disruptive leaders who discard traditional practice to tackle huge social problems. COVID 19 is a historic emergency, just like climate change, gender inequality, racial injustice, and a whole range of other universal issues that expose the cracks throughout the foundation of modern society. The impact go well beyond health to unemployment, food insecurity, economic disparities, inadequate education system, and more. Social entrepreneurs are well positioned to address gap and to reach those domains where government cannot. Economically or social disadvantaged communities are the hardest hit by the pandemic, and the social entrepreneurs are ready, able, and willing to reach underserved group. While government concentrate on justifying the highest level of health and economic shocks, social entrepreneur can innovate solution to the cascading impact from employment to education. Finally, and perhaps the most importantly, social entrepreneur can help us rebuilding the better world after COVID-19. Social entrepreneur have the stamina to change broken system before the pandemic hit. They were already tackling gaps and challenges, not just the one mentioned above, but other issues that have come to fore in the recent months: racial justice, gender inequality, uh, responsible supply chain, affordable healthcare, financial inclusion, and more. We know, for the instance, the long-term targets like UN Sustainable Development Goals are now at risk. The pandemic has pushed millions of people into extreme poverty. With support, social entrepreneur can not only help us survive this current crisis, but create a better world. Being social entrepreneur is just a stepping stone. The true victory lies in providing your metal after that. It is never 9 to 5 job. They have to work with all empathy. They should have listening ability. It is never easy to work as social entrepreneur. They need sheer hard work. It is mentally and social exhausting job. But if you make someone happy, it's always sweeter than your pain. It's not about always financial assistance the community need. Sometimes they just need the emotional assistance. Sometimes your advice only. Sometimes stand by them is enough. On the other side, everything in life come with limitations. Social entrepreneur have some limitations too, like they are under recognized group, no predefined path, lack of funding, fear of non-success, need hard work to get success, earning pressure of their families, social factors, hard to get trust from others, need to maintain accountability, lack of knowledge. I would like to say that especially given passing 2 years of COVID, we all understand and appreciate importance of social enterprise a lot more than earlier. It's my firm belief that more and more people should come forward and work towards greater good for the society, as it's a need of the hour. In last, I would say, after COVID-19 crisis, if we have bread to eat, shelter to live, clothes to wear, we are blessed ones. And there is a reason why we have these essentials. We as an individual come in front and help those who are in need of these basics, and take a small initiative to do little for the society. I must say, if we do our bit, our bank balance may get down, but little, but it won't affect us much. But on the other hand, the impact on the society would be life changing. That's all from my side. Thank you for giving me a precious time for the very important topic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was a really precise and to the point speech, Neha. I have some questions for you though. As a lawyer yourself, how have you seen lawyers contribute to social entrepreneurship? Because lawyers as sociopreneurs can also be a very interesting topic.
Yes, Yes, Shravan, actually, as a lawyer, if I can work as a social entrepreneur, I can see myself, I can give the advice. I see in my community, there is very low community and very needy community stay nearby to us, and they come to me for with their problems, and they कि हाँ जी आज मेरे husband ने they beated me and there is domestic violence हुआ, then they come to me, I give them my advice, this how by this I can contribute to as a social entrepreneur.
So it's like providing pro bono consulting services is the only way that lawyers can exactly help.
There are the so other ways you can contribute to the you can educate them, you can guide them better. It's always matlab, it's your value, I think. It's your particular if you are guiding them better, it's a better thing, matlab, it's the best thing you can do for the society. I can give them the financial aid also, I can give them the advice. If I am standing beside them, I think it's all about good for them.
Ma'am, one question from my side. Actually, even I am a lawyer by profession. So, during recent times, I have seen one thing which is very common. Okay, I would not speak about women or men or something, but gender equality. Don't you think gender equality is that much of more important for the males as well?
Yes.
So I have seen the cases where males are affected due to the gender equality issues taken out by females. So don't you think there should be some law or something that can help the males as well?
Yes, of course, there are in recent times there are so many laws and so many things are created for the protection of male as well. Now in recent times, recently I have seen one international case. Obviously there should be a because nowadays these are the artificially women's create some issues which are not exactly faced by them. Obviously males are also facing the domestic violence. Now the other side is also facing. Obviously there should be a law, there should be we should be stand by the males also. Yes, of course it should be there.
So this was the question, just a normal question.
Yes.
Being a female, I'm asking this question. Was a bit.
Neha, even I had this idea right now since we asked this. Whenever we talk of social entrepreneurship, parents do have a different mindset regarding boys and girls both. They would rather like the girls to try out that since the risk involved in their future is lesser than that.
Sorry, you are not audible to me. Can you
when we come to social entrepreneurship, we see the gender equality problem in households when parents consider the girl childs to try out social entrepreneurship or serving the society, helping others, rather than the male child because they don't want to put the male child's future in risk. So, what's your perception on that?
Yes, I also feel the same. In India, we are staying in that country where it's a maltreatment exists with the with girl child always. It's we create differentiate with them. Always we put male child always put forward. You can go. You can help them. You can help them. No, you don't go. Stay back at home. Yes, of course, but I don't teach I have two daughters. One is 7 years old and another is 2 years old. I don't never say कि भाई आप stay back at home and don't go for the social cause, do it. Do it because we stay, we, हमारा जो born and brought up है, that is from India. It's our moral duty to help others. Beside we are a male or female, it's our moral duty. We are since childhood we are taught to help others, and this is our moral duty.
Shravan, so I think so. What you asked was that the males are not getting chance to do social work, rather the females are getting. That is, I think so, because the parents feel, and the whole of the burden of the family is put on the male child, and the parents feel that he should earn, because in usually social entrepreneurship, or if we do social work, the mindset is that the social things won't make you earn money. So that's the reason Indian mentality and Indian parents don't allow the male child to work in social causes. Rather, they believe that the female should do, because the female doesn't have that ultimate pressure of earning. Is this correct? I think so.
I don't think so. In today's world, male child and female child both are equal for everyone.
Yeah, ma'am, it is equal, but there are certain families still, those who thinks like that.
I don't think it can be your perception, and that is my perception. Since
Ma'am,
my
that
child,
is not my perception, but I'm just was giving answer to Shravan's question.
okay,
That Shravan told that why male child is not allowed to do social cause.
okay.
That's actually a like controversial thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I would like to thank all the speakers for attending the conference, making it a wonderful time for all our audience, and definitely contributing by giving all the valuable opinions, especially Mr. Anshul Jain. Your vision and your active participation on all the two sessions of the conference, I really appreciate. Thank you. And I would also like to request the audience to stay tuned to our YouTube channel again. We'll be coming out with third session of Conference 1.0 on emerging mode of social entrepreneurship in the era of pandemic. Again tomorrow, back at the same time, 7 to 8:30 p.m. IST. Thank you. Stay tuned and have a great day.
And one more request from my side, please connect with us on LinkedIn, and please drop your LinkedIn IDs in the chat box.
Definitely. That's a good part. Thank you. Have a great day and have fun.
Thank you so much, Shravan and Riddhi. It was a really great knowing all of you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Our pleasure hosting you, Mr. G.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Please.